Hello, I'm sitting here with Erling Roland, and he's a professor of educational psychology. We're talking about bullying, and let's now talk about how to prevent bullying, the prevention. So there's two types of prevention, you could say. There's a general prevention and bullying-focused prevention. What is bullying-focused prevention?
That is simply to talk directly with the pupils about bullying. And that can be done in different ways. One thing to consider is really how to organize such a work. For example, it's often good to sit in a ring. It can be done in the classroom in ordinary pupils are sitting in an ordinary way, but it is often better to sit in a ring because it's closer and better to talk. So that's a way to organize it, and then it is the activities. The main point is that the teachers should help the pupils to be more conscious about bullying, what it is, what the consequences are, and so on. And one very common way to do it is to sit in a ring and simply talk with the pupils about different aspects of bullying. And the school can certainly work out different approaches to that, questions to ask and way to communicate with the pupils.
But they should talk about bullying, should be the theme.
Yes, they should talk about bullying or issues closely related to bullying, for example, friendship. Another way to work could be to use literature, reading a book, for example. Among smaller pupils, it's often very good if teacher reads an interesting book on bullying or related issues. Then it is often also easier to talk about it related to what they have heard. Pupils could also read themselves and talk about what they have read in the ring, in the circle. Role play is good. That is not easy to do in the ring, but they can do role plays and come back to the ring and discuss it. So there are many different ways that the teacher could communicate with the pupils about bullying. And that is what we call bullying-focused prevention.
I see. And there's also then general prevention. So what is that?
Yeah. Many schools around the world really think that to prevent bullying is to talk directly about bullying, as we just commented on. But it is also important to think that whatever happens is in a way related to bullying, the atmosphere in the class, for example. And so we call it general prevention, to build up a good class, to build up a good standing of the teacher in the class. And certainly there are some key aspects to think about related to general prevention. I would say that maybe the most important issue is that the teacher has a good standing in the class, a good authority, I would say, in the class. And to have a good authority, that is not absolutely not the same as being authoritative. To be authoritarian, to be harsh and bad to the pupils. But to possess authority is to have a good standing, and it is achieved if the teacher can be able to define the standard within the class, how it should be, how we should behave towards each other, how we should work, etc. And to be able to control that this is done in the proper way, and to support the pupils to do it in a good and warm way. So the combination between setting a good standard, controlling it, and supporting the pupils, that is the good cocktail to have a good standing in the classroom for a teacher.
I see. Any examples of how a teacher could display this kind of authoritative leadership? For instance, we're talking about how to control. How can a teacher do that?
The teacher should, when controlling, first and foremost the behavior of the pupils. The teacher will always be confronted with noise and disruption and so on in the class. And then the teacher should be competent to do something about that. Most often teachers will address many pupils at the same time. They are noisy, and the teacher will say, shh, be quiet, and so on. That is not a very effective way of controlling. It's much more effective to address one pupil at a time. Using the name maybe, eye contact, be close to the pupil, so that the pupil really recognize that the teacher is here.
So it's not about shouting and being firm. It's about
it's
small
often about
things.
being quiet, really, for a teacher, but being close and focused on one pupil, and then the teacher can switch the focus to another one, but not all at the time. Not be angry, not be shouting, but be calm, close.
But at the same time, support the.
That's the other key. To be good to each pupil, be friendly, supporting, helping, and you can imagine how important that is for being able to control also. It's a pupil will be much more listening to a teacher that he or she likes. A teacher is normally very warm, supporting, and then I, as a pupil, will listen to the teacher. If teachers say no, that is not good enough, you should do it another way, or so on.
So when should the teacher be authoritative or display the authoritative leadership?
I will say all the times the mix between setting standard, controlling it, and being supportive. But there are certain moments that are very, very important. The most important one is probably when the pupils come back after a holiday, for example, the summer holiday. Everything is new, and it is important for the teacher to immediately set the standard for how it should be. For example, standing at the door, shaking hand with each pupil coming, saying hello, glad to see you, here are your place. That is a very, very important sign for being in authority in the classroom. And that should also, every morning, there should be such a good start of the day.
So it's about first impression.
It is.
So this authoritative leadership, is that more important, or does it function better for some pupils rather than others?
Yes, I will say that this style is very good for every pupil, but the bullies, the proactive, aggressive pupils, it's almost vital. If the teacher are weak, for example, uncertain, such proactive, aggressive pupils will always try to trick the teacher. At least very often they will do that. An angry and harsh teacher is not good for anyone, but especially for insecure pupils it can be very bad. It is the teacher that is confident, secure, the authoritative teacher that is best for everyone, but for those proactive, aggressive pupils, often the bullies, that is absolutely the most effective. They will adjust quickly if they recognize that the teacher has a strong standing, is good in control and also supportive. So it's a key to demonstrate that for especially for those pupils. And remember, if it comes to intervention, for example, that is really vital.
Sure. So that's an example of general prevention,
yes.
Authoritative leadership. Are there, what about in the breaks in the schoolyard? What can you do there?
The same style should be demonstrated there. It is important that there are adults out in the schoolyard during the breaks, teachers or other staff, and they should be friendly, they should move around so they have a good overview, and also be able to do something if they see something that is going on, for example bullying, be able to address the pupils in a firm way, and again not addressing a whole group but one by one.
Yeah. And it's still the principles of the authoritative leadership that should be displayed.
The same principle. And it's very good also if the pupils can see that the adults out in the schoolyard are cooperating. There is an African word saying that it takes a whole village to raise one child.
I see. And is there? I've seen the teachers with vests on. That seems like a good idea. So
yeah, we think that it's a good idea to have the teachers wear a vest. So every pupil can recognize the teacher, and it also gives a sign of the authority that is so important.
Yes, yes. But what about the headmaster? What should the headmaster do to prevent bullying at his school?
The headmaster is the most important person at the school, and it is bad for the school if the headmaster is not concerned about bullying. That should be known by everyone, all teachers, pupils, parents, that the headmaster really cares. The headmaster should support the teachers in preventing and stopping bullying. The headmaster should organize this work in a good way. So it is recognized all the time that this is a standard at this school. I will also say that if the headmaster can move around a little at the school, visiting the classrooms, for example, that is very, very good. Being out in the schoolyard sometimes, maybe wearing a vest also.
Yeah, right. Making him or herself visible to the
yes,
to the pupils.
That is recognized by both teachers, the pupils, and the parents. Children will always sense what the parents' values are, and therefore the parents should demonstrate towards each other, towards neighbors and so on, that they are helpful, friendly, inclusive. Also, they should talk with their children about being in that way, and in particular, from time to time, address bullying, asking directly if they are bullied themselves, if they do this to others, or if they know something. Then the parents will be better informed, and their child will know what the parents really think about bullying.
So it's all about communication then between the teachers, the school with the teachers and the parents and the pupils.
It is. It is. So it is also. It also very good if the parents and the teacher can communicate with each other in a good way in general, but also about bullying. And maybe we also should mention that if the parents recognize that their child is bullied, it is very bad for a pupil a child to recognize that the parents do not care. So in such moments, it is important for the parents to really support their child.